Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the November 20th meeting of the Finance Committee. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Sides and Mr. Moriel are on the phone. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes of the June 4th meeting. Does anyone have any comments? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve them.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Okay. SEC Executive Summary Report progress.
Okay, I've gone back through the SEC report to review the status of a lot of the items that I think you guys.
It's been a while since we.
Yeah, it was June of 2018 was the last time that we've discussed this. So SEC came in and did an evaluation of our operations between HR and finance, and had some recommendations and some follow-up that we had been bringing to Finance Committee periodically. But it's been about 18 months since you guys have had an update. So I went through all the items that were in here, and really just to update you all, I think you all have seen the reorganization that we have done in finance. I have hired a budget analyst. That was one of the recommendations I think that was anticipated to have been done in the 18-19 school year, but we just, as of November 1st, I have a budget analyst. So one of the other recommendations was some position control. We are working.
Some internal control, right?
Well, yeah, there was an internal control component as well. And we were going to realign some duties with a current staff member, and I have done that as well. I did that effective October, but we don't have a training facilitator in that area right now. So we're working through progressing with the internal audit piece for bookkeepers at school level.
Okay.
And then with the position control piece, we are still working through a lot of that. We're putting some controls in place through the frontline system that we use with HR, with position postings, and making sure that we have some control on budget allocations before positions are posted. So we're working through that. That's been in the last few months that we're doing some of that. So we're continuing to work through a lot of these things, but really those are the only things I saw in here that would be current items that we were working and progressing in.
Okay. Any questions?
I just have one quick question. Just this is either from Shauna's perspective or anyone on the board committee. Is there a recommendation on how often we would want to bring in a group like SEC to review or to update this report? I mean, is that something that we should be doing annually? Is that something we do only when we have a change in CFO? Like, what's your opinion or perspective on that?
My opinion, the SEC came in maybe 5 years ago, made a lot of the same recommendations. I think actually looking at what the recommendations are and following through on those is probably more important. It could be something that as you have leadership changes, maybe you evaluate, or if there's really some a big reorganization that you want to do, bringing someone like SEC in to evaluate maybe what your plans are to see if that's a good option.
I would agree with that. I think we need to take the document we got 2 years ago.
Yeah, because then they came back in again.
And make sure that we've done the things that they've asked us to do before we move on with something like that. But if you were to do something with reorganization again in the finance department, then that's something we would have to look at that time.
Because I met with them not too long ago. They came in and just sort of talked to us. But I think at this point, I feel comfortable where we're at. Maybe in the next, I would think it wouldn't be a bad thing to reevaluate, have that outside perspective, because they are in a lot of districts and they can give us that perspective from.
I do think that maybe in January we could get, the last CFO was keeping track or trying to of what the updates were. If we could do that, so we could see kind of where we are with it. But part of that's HR, so you're gonna have to get Dr. Barnes to do that as well.
Thank you.
So thanks. Okay, next is the new finance HR software update. This is awesome.
Yeah, so our kickoff is tomorrow. We are bringing in all principals, bookkeepers, directors.
And just so everybody knows, the state,
Yes,
Yeah.
the state went through an RFP process to modernize their system as well as all the districts in North Carolina. The DPI had to modernize before we could really move forward. So there were 2 respondents and we have 2 vendors that we had to select from. We had demonstrations from both and we chose Tyler Munis, which is the same program our county uses. We are doing our kickoff, which is change management is very important. This is something we've not done since 1995. It's not something you do very often. It will impact every employee at some point. Employee portals, we'll have workflows, we'll have, some of the position control that we're talking about. All of this is going to really, I think, be answered with this software because HR and finance will be using the same program.
how long will the conversion take?
We anticipate to go live with the financial piece, which will be, the accounting, accounts payable, those budget, in January of 2021. And then,
2021.
yes, so basically a year from now. And then the payroll HR piece will be, April of 2021, so 3 months later. But with the payroll, if we're not ready for the payroll HR part in April, you have to do it on a quarter, so then it would be in July.
Okay.
So it just sort of depends on how we progress. We're not a pilot district, but we are one of the first districts. We are helping them create what they call the golden template as they move forward to other districts. A lot of what they learn from us will help them implement in a more timely fashion than other districts.
Okay.
But our kickoff tomorrow, I'm looking forward to it. We should have some representatives from DPI here. We have our software vendor will be here to go through a presentation. And we've invited a very large group of stakeholders so that we have representation at each school that knows what's coming to answer some questions. There's going to be a lot of questions. So
Okay.
the next year is going to be interesting, but it'll be all good things.
Great. Any questions on that? Okay, next thing on the agenda is the charter school update.
I just kind of wanted to let you all know where our charter school numbers are at the 20-day point. I feel like we're right at their enrollment is right at 39,000 or 3,950. The budget that we have for charter school payments will be sufficient to handle that. That is an increase from the prior year. But we anticipated an increase last year that the 2 new charter schools didn't open, so we didn't have to increase our charter school
What's the
budget
increase
this year.
over last year? Do you know?
200,
Approximate.
a
200.
little over 200. Yeah, almost.
That would make sense with 2
Yeah.
new charters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've run some projections, and with what we're currently paying out, I think our budget will be sufficient.
Okay.
But they get paid on their 20-day number, where we get paid on our 40-day number.
Okay.
So the 20-day number is what we try to look at.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Any questions on that? Okay, budget update.
All right. So I feel like you all probably know that the state did approve a salary budget, or has
But we
given
have
the
no-
teachers, right.
Right.
We have no actual budget,
Budget.
but they've done some salary bills. The teachers are getting their increase, their step increase. The principals are getting their bonuses and their steps, as well as the APs. There isn't anything in there for the non-certified personnel. We were hoping that they would get maybe 1%, 2%, but that has been pulled out. So it could come later. But right now, we're going to move forward with giving the increases to the teachers, the principals.
And those
the
are
APs.
retro back to
They will
July 1?
retro back to July 1st. We're anticipating being able to get that done on the December check.
Okay.
December is a short month for us on
Right.
payroll because we pay early due to the holiday. So, it's our goal to get that done for the December pay.
Okay.
That also,
Go ahead.
you do.
Did they do any increases that we didn't anticipate in our budget? was anything above what we anticipated that will affect our local?
No, because
locally
we
paid
didn't
employees?
really have, at the time, we didn't have much of a projection from the state. So
Right.
we had to kind of use historical. So I think where we maybe use the percentages, all the percentages will balance out
Okay,
when it all is said and done
as a whole.
as a whole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Now, one thing we have held out for is waiting for the non-certified increases to do the this year in our budget, we had the compensation study for the
Teacher
teacher assistants. So we have not done their increases yet in anticipation of only wanting to do a change to their pay one time. But at this point, we're going to go ahead and move forward with the TA increases.
Good idea.
That will also be in the December check. So that'll be a nice little Christmas surprise for a lot of them, I think. But if they do come back with another salary bill and give them an increase, then we'll
Have to do it again.
Make
we'll
another
do it
adjustment.
again. So our software vendor that we have currently is working on, when you go back retros, it does create a lot of difficulty with Orbit, the retirement system. So we're trying to work through all that. So as long as all that works through, we should be able to make the December checks.
Okay, great. Awesome. Next item is sorry.
Kathy,
I
before-
did also want to
Sorry.
mention that since they've done some salary bills, I think what I'm going to try to go ahead and do is put a budget in the system with what we have, and we'll just have to amend as we go. So I'm going to try to get it ready. I won't have it ready for the December meeting, but hopefully by the January board meeting, I'll be able to bring to you in the December Finance Committee the resolution. I'm going to work to try to get that done, so at least we've got something to work from
Okay.
and just go from there.
Okay.
Because I think if we wait too much longer, it's going to be,
Really
it's
good.
just hard.
Yeah, it's hard. Gary, did you have a question?
No, it just got answered.
Okay. There you go. Okay. The 2020, 2021 or fiscal year 21 draft budget calendar.
Yes. So I went through and basically, used last year's as a guide, and wanted to go ahead and bring it to you all now to make sure if we need to make adjustments, or is there anything different that you want to do this coming year. I've left some joint meetings on here. I know last year we had the facilitator with the county commissioners, but that doesn't mean we can't have some joint meetings. So I don't know if you all want to start having some conversations about that, or what we need to be prepared to try to do.
I think one joint meeting would probably be helpful once we get a draft budget done, like we
You'll
did
need to unlock your iPhone first.
in April. But I don't, unless the county really wants it, I don't see a need for a February joint meeting.
Yeah.
Because it's basically just a calendar. If we get it to them and they're good with that, but maybe Dr. Houlihan can talk to Mark Watson about what they would like to do.
Because my biggest concern is, it's already November. We don't have a state budget now. I don't, we're going to go into next year really not knowing what next year's going to be either. So, because really, if you see through a lot of this,
Right.
We're going to be talking about the 1921. Usually this coming year would have been an easier year for us because it would have been the second year of a budget. But
so I like the one in April because at least gives them a peek at our budget. And if there's any issues, we can bring them up there. But I don't really, unless they have some reason, I don't see a need for a February joint meeting.
Okay. And then, I've got the Board of Ed work session down there in April.
That's
as well,
perfect.
so.
I like that.
Okay.
I would agree with the one joint session with the county. I think because of the budget challenges on the state level that you just mentioned, I think it's going to be late this year. I think we're probably going to be pushing the deadline because we'll be waiting to find out what the state is going to do, and they're going to be late.
Yep.
So
I agree.
it might be a lot of fun this year. I wanted to make one other comment. As staff is preparing the budget itself, I would like to look at some options for the bus drivers and perhaps all non-licensed employees for not only a pay increase for the bus drivers options, but also a career ladder, some options that you have we could enhance that. I
We need
want to make sure that,
We need to look at teacher supplements too, as well. We have a bunch of stuff, and I assume that they'll put something together and we'll take a look at it. But I hear you on the bus driver thing, but we also have to look at teacher supplement things.
Because
Why?
this coming year, we would be evaluating the balance of our compensation study, which is the last group of bookkeepers and some other non-certified staff that will be part of what the third year of our comp study will include. So we'll put together multiple options for you all to evaluate.
right.
And on the budget calendar, I'll be happy to have a conversation with Mr. Watson and kind of let him
I appreciate it.
determine how they want to handle that. But I agree. I like the idea of the one joint meeting in April and leave it at that for now.
Because especially this year, we're not going to, it's just going to be difficult.
Okay, so you'll have that conversation?
Yes.
Great. Okay, anything else? Okay.
You're not looking for approval of the calendar yet?
No, I think maybe let Dr. Houlihan have some conversations and I anticipate maybe for the January, we can bring it back to the December Finance Committee and finalize it then.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So the next meeting date is December 17th, which is a Tuesday. Can we have that at 8:15?
Sure.
It's hard for me to make 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
Plus. Okay, if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.